Ta-da! You must be a real programmer now. You've got your own GitHub repo.
Put one thing in it. That was other than making that. I was like, I got to figure out how to actually post to GitHub, whatever what's it called? Committing. I'm committing to GitHub.
I was just looking at that. Jay Brulette committed 3 days ago.
Oh, accidentally. You know what I was expecting to do the whole time is I actually did it twice on accident, which I was expecting. I don't know what I did, but I did it twice.
But it works. Yeah.
Did it work for you?
Yeah. So when you just shared the code with me last week, I couldn't get it to work. Maybe I just saved it wrong out of VS Code or something. But that time, using GitHub, immediately worked.
Sweet.
So cool.
You know what's been funny is I thought that more people would be interested in it. And I think that the reality is people like you and I are less common that want this type of thing, like that want to put multiple files into one. Like the use case is less. Like there's only been 26 people that have downloaded it. And I think a decent amount of those were before I even shared it publicly. So I don't even understand. Like people just found it on GitHub on their own.
Yeah, interesting. It's interesting. Like it excites me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, super useful. I want that in my kit. But Josh and I were chatting about it yesterday. And in terms of our actual sort of manufacturing workflow, we're yet to sort of come up with a strong use case for it. But just because of the way our current workflow works, like everything we machine is machined from Fusion bodies. We don't have a good workflow to say we're chatting about it, like, oh, does this mean we can, because we've got duplication at the moment, we're kind of drawing things in Rhino and then redrawing them in Fusion for machining. Like, does this mean we can just pull the approved drawings from Rhino straight in and machine straight from that? But I haven't done much machining from step bodies. I assume it's fine.
Yeah. So like, that's the interesting, like it would totally work. Maybe part of the, I don't know. It's still like, to me, it's still even better than, like, I'd rather just open a new window, use the script and import one body that way. It's still faster than uploading and then waiting for that to get done, then opening the file. And that whole process is maybe twice as long. Maybe not quite, but I often get at least a few times a week, I get a series of step files, and I used to just have to dump them into Rhino to do anything useful before I got to Fusion. So
yeah. Oh, look,
apparently I'm weird.
I'll time it for you on Australian internet. It's a lot more than twice as long.
There you go.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I had some people that were like, "What do you use this for?" And I was like, "All right, then just keep moving."
No, it's cool. It was cool to see a little demo video the other day. Just like how quickly it dropped in all those files. It's nice.
If I used some less complicated files, it probably would have been even faster.
Yeah.
There's Ricky. Anyway, you said, I see here you've made your own script.
My first Fusion script. Yes. Doesn't do anything, but yes.
Doesn't do anything.
I just tried to copy your workflow and was like, please GPT, make me a Fusion script. And it did it. Like, it worked. I think on the second prompt, it was a functional runnable script, but all it did was create a new component and put a 1 by 1 by 1 millimeter body in said component. So it was just proof of concept of like, cool, okay, that works. Nice. Now, what do I actually want to do with this?
Gotta change your script every time you want a different box.
But yeah, just pleasing to sort of, try the workflow of ChatGPT to workable Python code. Very cool. Very cool.
I realized, I don't know for sure, but when I first made this import script, I don't know if this is the case, but I just checked today and then the other day, I think last week, but GPT-4 is now updated as of January 2022. So I think that means potentially there's a lot more that's been ingested script like API-wise. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, cool. Yep.
Where'd it go? Oh, this is good.
What? Buttons.
In Software Corner,
Yeah.
Bard has been pretty significantly updated, and it can now once again search the internet, and also you can give it access to your Google data. But as they warn you, and I have not done this because I am not interested in this potentially happening, it basically makes it available to anybody, which I think like Google employees probably can see it already.
Yeah.
But I kind of have this, I don't know if I read something, but I feel like there's this scenario where things could just literally end up on the internet that are yours if you give the AI access to it. And I'm not interested in that kind of like freedom yet.
No, it's not quite there yet, is it? I had a similar reaction to that idea of kind of bringing Bard throughout G Suite and into all the Google tools. It's like, yes, I know you have all this data already, but there's something little too raw about that. As attractive as it is, like I'd love to have an AI troll our emails and be able to pull out all sorts of interesting findings. Funny timing, yesterday Jay exported, so we backtrack a little. We use Zero Projects for like time tracking throughout the business, have done for probably 7-8 years or something. And so across that period, pretty much every custom job we've ever done has been tracked again. And we go in and we manually cherry pick that data and try and look at it every week and go, cool, what did I underquote this week? Or what's running too slow in production? Why is that an issue? How can we fix that? Blah, blah, blah. But it's very limited in terms of what we actually do with that data. Anyway, it occurred to Jay this week that we could export a whole lot of that data and just feed it to an LLM for analysis.
Right.
Which Jay did. Exported just an Excel spreadsheet of just this year's data and gave it to GPT-4 and was like, hey, what do you make of this? Where are we consistently underquoting? Where are we overquoting? Like, please find some trends. And it was like, I think they only spent about 15 minutes on it, so it's early days, but like what it immediately sort of ripped from this huge data set was like some really interesting stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Ooh, and
well, yeah, sure. You want more information, do you? Okay, let me pull it up.
It was really interesting. Onward.
So early findings are most misquoted tasks. Assembly, on average, assembly is underquoted by 112 minutes. Handling, this task is
cumulative or per job?
Per job.
I was going to say,
on average.
That's not bad over that much time. If that's the case.
Per job. Handling, underquoted by around 50 minutes. Packing is underquoted. Design's underquoted. And sealing is underquoted. But then it goes on, like Jay sort of continues to prompt it. And we need to sort of go back and verify some of this because I think it's starting to get a little bit confused about some things. But
is it right at all? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? It shows its workings, but like when you click on show my workings, it's just like a bank of code, which I haven't looked at in any detail. But I think it sort of at one point it sort of expresses what are we, like Jay asks, like what are we quoting most accurately? And it does say CNC is like the most accurate match, which makes total sense because it's the most sort of technical bit of the Airtable formula in terms of how many shapes, how many passes, what's the feed rate, how many profiles are there on the sheet. Like it gets into quite granular detail, so it makes sense that the CNC quote time is. So yeah, it kind of just says to me like, cool, all right, how do we either how do we get granular on the rest of it, or use some of this feedback to make adjustments to how I'm quoting things that are consistently going over.
Right.
But pretty cool. But I think what I'm most excited about is like the next step of like you give it all this data and then you like start to reverse engineer it and start it to go the other way and be like, please quote this job for me based on everything you now know.
What's you kind of reminded me of, heard, I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago, as I was asking it, so I was like, oh, you have access to the internet now. Sweet. Can you look up on our new platform, Circle, for like community platform, if it can do this one feature, this limited,
Yep.
we want to have a limitation on how many people are in a certain course. And in its first response to me, it said, no, it can't do that. And I actually submitted a feedback request for you on your behalf. And I was like,
Oh,
what?
what?
You did what? And I was really taken aback by that. And I was like, what? Okay, I've heard of AIs doing stuff, but like, didn't ask you to do that. I asked you to look it up. And so then I like asked for follow-up questions on that. I was like, where did you submit this? Is this public? Like in a public place, can you share me what you sent and the link? And it shared me an entire draft of what it submitted. Like, this feature would be really valuable. Here's the action steps. Here's the problem. It was like a pretty well-written thing. And then it's like, I can't share it to you because, Circle takes these in as private, like basically an email, I'm guessing, or a form or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I wrote after that, I was like, who authorized you to do this? And it was like, nobody. I just decided to do it on my own. And I was like, who did you say you were? And it was like, I said I was a user and that I was a large language model from Google AI, but I didn't make that a big point of the statement. And I was like, what? What is happening? So then the next day I'm still thinking about that. And I come back and I'm like, to that thread, and I'm like, I don't think you did this. Like, I think you're lying to me or something like that. And it's like, honestly, you're right. I didn't do that. I'm really sorry. I didn't do any of that. I didn't submit the feedback request. And I was like, what? So like you lied about submitting a feedback? Like, this is the weirdest conversation.
Why has Bard always been the funnest AI? Like, it feels like it's the one that's got the most press for just doing random hallucinogenic shit.
That's what on the Vergecast they always talk about, like the way to make your why Bing went viral in the first place with its AI was it was spicy. It was like basically attracted to that reporter.
Yeah.
And they're like, just make your AI a little bit spicy and it'll get a lot of attention.
Give us some character. Yeah. Yeah, I want to go back to those days of just like
I do too.
Out of slightly unhinged AI assistants. That's what I want.
I love you. I love you, Dave. I love you, Dave.
Oh, cool. I haven't used Bard at all, but I'm going to give it a whirl. Just add to the suite of tools.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I ask it things like when it couldn't search, and that when we've been blacklisted to our little siloed AI boxes, I was asking a lot of like questions that I thought it could answer about Google or SEO. So I'd be like, if I had this blog post, which is a better title for SEO, like, or I don't know. I don't know if any of that was accurate, but it felt like it was more pertinent than asking another one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit spoiled for choice this week because I got access to Claude, which is Anthropic's product. I don't know if I mentioned this last week or not. But I think I got access to it just after we recorded last week. And it's good. It's good. I like how it writes. It's got a good interface and it's got a huge prompt input size so you can dump. I took the PDF for the Masso control document and just dumped it in as a single input. It's like, cool, I'll use this for analysis. Like, I'll use this as a resource. Like, I can then ask this chat context window, like, questions about the Masso control. That's been pretty cool. And it comes with API access, and yeah, I'd like to do more with that.
So is it online or is it like a local thing?
Yeah, it's online. It's just in a window. There's no app for it or anything. So I find, having now gotten used to having a GPT app, I find that functionality lacking, but whatever.
What's really interesting, there's a couple things that are way better about the iOS ChatGPT app that I find really interesting. Like, it seems significantly faster to answer with just its responses are faster. And I don't know what causes that, first of all. But then the second factor is you can search all of your history with it. Like there's a search field and I cannot find any way to search just in the browser for ChatGPT. The only way I can figure it out is export, making a separate file on my desktop, and then I can search it. It's like, wait, why is there no search? Like, seems pretty basic here. Anyway.
Yeah. How's your week?
Decent. I don't know. We had a stint this month where we had almost 7 days without product orders, which was really unnerving because we've gotten pretty regular, or at least the spans between orders are like a couple days at the most now. And so that was unnerving. That was like the second week of the month. And the first week was great. We had great sales. And then the rest of the month's been great too. And we're actually like currently sitting at the best like sales month we've had, which is awesome.
Awesome. Cool.
But like, I was like, well, we missed a week here. Like, what if we had that week? Like, would we be 50% up on our best? Like, I don't even like, kind of odd. But I think some of that I have to imagine is having more help. Hear that whatever we've been able to make more videos, and I don't know, some of it's just coincidence. I think I don't know what why those things happen, but that's been good. We've been busy. We had to start making a bunch of parts on the mill again. Kind of been sitting somewhat idle, just not needing it for a bit, and so Ricky's been trying to run multiple machines at the same time and not quite enough capacity, and I've had a lot of time to like work on new things, which is good.
Cool.
It's been
super cool.
Good overall.
Nice.
Yeah. Feels, a couple people have said that it feels like things are really coming together, and I was like, yeah, it is. It's a weird feeling. That's nice.
Yeah, awesome.
How about you?
Yeah, pretty good. Had a feeling kind of started the week feeling very mortal. Laura lost a friend over the weekend to cancer, and that was all very sad and shit. And she wasn't much older than us, only a couple of years older than us. And it was like, this is a real kind of, good reminder.
Right.
Good reset point to just sort of slow down and look after our health and not burn myself out.
Right.
Yeah. So all very sad, but yeah, kind of positive takeaways in terms of just making some subtle adjustments to how I operate, or trying to.
Right.
But it's been a good week. I sort of, after, all my moonlighting in production and sales, quoting and sales sort of slipping behind, which has left us with a bit of a cash flow gap. I've had a really solid week of quoting this week, which is satisfying, and sort of hit my quoting target 3 days in a row, which is almost unheard of. And just won a decent, juicy job last night. So, yeah, closing out September. So closing the gap back that September was kind of falling behind where it needed to be. So I think we'll hit our break-even revenue for the month, which is a relief because it wasn't looking like we were going to get there. And maybe a little bit more today, see how we go. Yeah, that's been satisfying. We're still kind of understaffed in production, and that's been a bit stressful and a little bit manic out there in terms of trying to get jobs finished. But that's resolving. Johnny's coming back to work soon. Andy's coming back to work in a couple of weeks, so that'll all level out, and we'll get back to some sort of normality soon, hopefully.
Yeah, right. That's nice.
But yeah, there's some good jobs coming through, and just being the quoting guy now and having kind of basically full control over what we say yes or no to has been really positive in terms of sort of shaping which jobs are coming through. And it is a bit of a kidder parts universe, like even jobs that aren't kidder, I'm managing to sort of convert into kidder with the client. I'm just like, oh, we could do this. What do you think of this idea? Why would you want a normal cabinet when we could make you a kidder cabinet?
I would like a bed frame. How about a kidder bed frame?
Exactly. So there's been a
It's
fair bit
the
of that going
solution
on.
for everything.
And for the first time in what feels like months, I somehow managed to get up early and get 2 hours of sort of product dev done yesterday before work. That was very pleasing. Machined some new wall brackets that have been on the product dev list for ages.
The aluminum things you made?
Yeah.
Little bracket.
Aluminum, little bent widget. That was pleasing.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. It was actually like,
I never think to make those kind of things on our router. Like we always just like order those little parts.
because you have a mill.
But even that, like those sheets, it's so cost effective and like fast to just order like from these services that just make a part for you.
Because you have these things, send, cut,
You don't have
send.
anything close to that?
Nah. The closest would be sending a DXF to a laser cutter and a laser cutter with a brake press and saying, can you fabricate some brackets for me? And I don't know, a couple $100 probably later.
Right.
Have a bracket.
Not to pile on too much, but it's been pretty wild prototyping one of our new products that is going to be sheet metal. Like, I don't say this to bash or some of our other vendors we use, but I can currently get parts made and sent to me without paying any rush fees faster than I can get quotes from local vendors sometimes. Like, crazy. Wow. I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand both sides of that, like how they're so fast and how they're so slow, you know?
Yeah, it's amazing. So that's through Send Cut Send.
I've used Send Cut Send. Lately, I've been using a new one called FabWorks. I can't say it. They're new to me.
Yeah.
And they've been really great. They've been cheaper and faster than Send Cut Send.
Cool.
Which is amazing. They have really nice. I mean, both Send Cut Send and FabWorks have a pretty great web like experience. There's one quirk with FabWorks is bending, where it can't do it can't go over 90 degrees, which is technically inaccurate. But they've been really good at getting stuff made quickly, and they're in California, so it comes up to us pretty quick.
Yeah, so
just kind of wild.
Cool. Yeah, it's rad. It'd be fun to have access to something like that. But I suppose we have access to a workshop full of tools, and we can make our own things. So you know, it all balances out. I can make janky plywood bending jigs for folding, which actually works quite well. It's not ideal because I have to like score the alley with a ball nose. I'm using a 10mm ball nose just to put like a little 1/3 deep dish along the fold line, just so that my plywood bending brake press can deal with it. But it makes for the application that I'm doing, it makes for a strong enough part and works. It looks neat and cool. Yeah.
Cool.
And the other thing I've been doing this week is making lots of training videos. So I've tried to instigate a thing of every time I get asked a question, I take my phone with me and make a little video as I'm answering the question. And it's little stuff that I get asked a lot. It's like, oh, Jim, we've got this USB error on the pencil sharpener. How do you clear this error? Or how do you run this part? Or how do you set up Trinity for cutting packaging? And it's partly because Johnny's away and he would usually just be dealing with that stuff. And so I've got other people jumping on machines they're not familiar with, but it's a great opportunity to just like quickly make a very rough 1-minute phone vid, upload it to YouTube and chuck it in our resources. So suddenly I've gone from no training videos on the pencil sharpener to about 8 videos in a little unlisted private YouTube channel, whatever it's called, collection.
Where are you putting that info then?
Those links then go into our Technique, like operations database in it, which is still in Airtable. We haven't migrated to Notion yet. Yeah, at least it's somewhere. So someone can go into Technique, search for pencil sharpener, and pull up all the resources for the pencil sharpener. So.
At least easy to migrate, I suppose.
I don't know, is it?
Well, meaning that you're not having to like re-upload the video somewhere.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's a permanent link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, there's something I was going to bring up. Oh, this came up to me this week. I don't know how long it's been available to the public necessarily, but it seemed to have hit the printer world zeitgeist with the new, it's called Maker World, which is Bamboo's version of printables, printables.com. So it says it's under beta. I don't really know what that means, but it's available now. And I wasn't immediately like super interested. I was like, I don't know, printables is pretty good. Like, what do we need another one of these for? You know, it's just creating more like scarcity, or not scarcity, but like diversion in the market. So then we have all these places to look for stuff. However, like everything that Bamboo seems to touch, they put a pretty good spin on it.
What's the spin?
Made it immediately valuable, which is if you update your Slicer apps, your iPhone app for your mobile app, you can now directly send files from Maker World to your printer.
Sick.
It's like the future of like, you know, it's like that thing everybody was talking about. It's like on the news channels of like 3D printing soon will be in your home and you'll just be able to blink and have a file made. And it's like kind of that. Like,
cool.
It can be anywhere in the world and I can send a print from my phone to our printer and start it and not have to slice it.
That's cool. That is a pretty good spin. Yeah.
You can also upload from the slicer into their Maker World.
Oh.
And they're doing a little system where you can get credits and stuff, just like printables did. So it incentivizes people to share. And
okay. Yeah.
I do know of a little bit of drama, though, related to it, which is Maker World or Bamboo called out, or Prusa, for not allowing basically like the easy transmission between printables to Maker World, like a migration of a user's files. And the way that printables got so big and fast was they ingested all of, I think, Thingiverse files similarly. Like basically if they were Creative Commons or open license and you had license to them, you could move them easily into printables. I didn't even know this. So then Bamboo wanted to do the same thing from printables, which is obviously a direct competitor in both product and this service. And they didn't allow it. Bamboo or Prusa was saying, is that super loud?
Nah, it's fine.
Machine. Prusa was blocking the way that they were doing it and calling these links that you had to put in your profile spam.
Oh, really?
And so that looked bad. However, when they called him out publicly on it, like, I don't know, Twitter or something, I don't know, somewhere the Bamboo team called out Prusa for doing this, for blocking it and being hypocritical. In which case, the founder of Prusa, Joseph, came out and said, well, here's the interesting factor here. We noticed a few months back these weird server situations. You know, we noticed in the back end that there's a bunch of activity, and we figured out that it was Bamboo's engineering team testing our system to see how we deal with stuff. And so they were, he claims, at one point uploading copyrighted like files into their system intentionally to see how they'd handle it, like if they would block it or not, and then like doing all this other somewhat odd, maybe gross testing. And so they were just like, we don't have any other, you know, way to deal with this other than we're going to block you from doing this. Yeah. And so that's what caused the disconnect, supposedly. So there's this like mini drama happening between them.
Do you know much about Bamboo, the company?
I know that they came from a bunch of people that worked at DJI, that like drone company.
Yep.
And they spun off to make that. And I think a lot of them were somewhere in Asia, China maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, cool. I don't know. The DJI link is interesting though, because there's not many companies that can sort of seem to sort of iterate at such a high level and so quickly as DJI seem to output new products and new drones and things. And then like you can kind of see, if you know that link, you can kind of see the way that that's translated into bamboo in a bit. Like, just in terms of the quality of the build and the sort of, I suppose, how much tech they've packed into this pretty well-priced object.
Right. Yeah, it's they obviously have really good experience with just manufacturing in general. Like, I was thinking about this the other day with the new A1, is that what it's called? Mini A1 Mini. That one we talked about that Bamboo just came out with.
Yeah.
It's like $299 US without the little AMS. And I was just thinking about the thought, like, I remember when we first got Prusa, I was like, oh yeah, they just printed all these parts, and I had an interest, like, kind of it wasn't the greatest print quality of some of them. Like, you could see it just felt printed. And I was kind of like, maybe that's cool to start, but like long term, why are you still printing parts? And some of that's interesting in that, like, you can print yourself replacement parts. Like, they're available on their website to be able to, like, something breaks, you can print yourself a new bracket for your Prusa. But then I was thinking, I was like, man, that's completely so different. And like one of the popular printing, like, YouTube channels, Maker's Muse, that guy's background is industrial design, I believe. And so he was going over the new A1. He's like, this thing's, really rigid and it's really well made. And they use metal where you should use metal and really good rails. So it's pretty, even though it's a cantilever design, it's really quite good compared to a lot of the competition. And I'm just thinking, like, you get this printed version over here, like the Prusa version, and then you've got this really high-end product design on the other side. It's just such a difference that's very noticeable. Yeah.
You just reminded me, and this is kind of coming full circle, just in terms of sort of quality of output. When you were talking about GitHub the other day and putting stuff up there, and then this morning when I downloaded it, tried it. I think we texted about this the other day, but like the thing you can do from terminal on a Mac where you just like pull a Git repository, like suck it straight down with a single terminal command. Like, what are the security implications of that? Do you know much about that in terms of, like, it seems fraught with, like, the code base that you're pulling could have all sorts of
likely, I guess,
stuff in it. Like, is GitHub sort of moderated in any way in terms of the quality of what's?
I don't know. I mean, like, let me say that I'm glad I use a Mac for those reasons, because it does a lot to protect you from nefarious things that I don't even understand. Like,
no, I mean, either, but like, I just pulled some of your code. I didn't look at it, and I put it on my computer, and then I executed it.
Oh, but did I ever tell you about how me and my friends in architecture school, we used to, like, send each other files all the time of like, oh, I made this thing. You should, here, in case you need it, a model of something to use as like in your renderings or something. We had this string of events where we would make like files that would open up and like immediately try to crash your program. They were like intentional viruses in Rhino. So it'd like do an array infinitely or something.
Rhino viruses.
We're just trying to screw each other's projects all the time.
That's awesome.
So good luck with my scripts.
Oh, thank you. Word of confidence. Where do I downvote?
Does GitHub scan for viruses? No.
Don't know.
How to tell if a GitHub repository is malicious? The only way to know is to look through the code directly, and that's a real pain. Says the top
You talking
commenter.
to Bud?
No, I just Googled it. I could. Yeah. This is a post on Reddit.
Yeah. Cool. I don't think I've got anything else on my list. The note on my list about keyboard on the pencil sharpener is entirely aspirational. I put that there because I'm like, by Thursday, I want to have a keyboarder, because I've become increasingly frustrated with the fact that you can't on the touch screen. And I really want to manually change them all to be the functions that we use regularly. Because as I've been training other people how to use it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is silly that you can't just turn the spindles on and off from the MDI without like manually typing in a code. But I suspect that I can't edit any of that stuff until I have a keyboard and mouse attached to the control.
I think you can get
which
that
is strange. What's
that?
that?
I think you can get that done.
I can get that done. I just didn't get it done by Thursday. So there you go. That's the end of my story. What do you got going on out there? on the monitors.
Making ATC forks, which used to be a nightmare. Like, we were reminiscing this week as we were starting to run them again. Like, one of the things we run maybe the least, like we batch the most out of, like we usually get like a partial sheet of acetyl and then just make a lot of them at once, because the setup is, we shoot for a really accurate part, like thousandths of an inch in the forks. We want to be really repeatable, really balanced, really like, so I made one of our final attempts that actually worked is I made a whole pallet on the mill that's a fixture out of aluminum that holds like 10 parts at a time, a one and done fixture, and it actually worked with the vacuum and it works really well. My one failure with it is I didn't make it index to the router very well. Like, it's a little bit, it just doesn't fit quite. I think I used the wrong size reamer or something on the pins. So you can't really rely on the pins, which is super frustrating. So we had to get more, accurate in the way we use setups. We do setups with the router, which we just never really needed before. So like, we have to tram in the pallet, and then we use, I think I talked about this already, but we use like a centering edge finder to find a hole.
Doing that? Yeah.
And I had documented the whole thing really well the last time we did it, because every time we do this, it's like really like, oh my God, we're never going to get the setup right again. Like, just run a bunch of parts and hope we don't have to run, like it's just a big setup for us. And this last time I found the file on help desk that had all the instructions with images and stuff. And we had printed out some guides. He just like did it. He's like, that was great. Like, we did it. We actually had everything in there. And I was like, oh my God. All right. So it's like the first time it's just been smooth.
That's cool.
A long time.
That's cool. Yeah, my only solution to that thus far is every time I want to set up a really repeatable fixture is I drill new placement points for it in the wasteboard as the first operation. And then I drop in pins and drop the fixture on. I'm like, cool. I mean, it's the same session. This should be spot on.
Right. A lot of our other product-based things have always been like top that's like never moving, and that was part of what I attempted to do. And something about how I made it's like the most ridiculous. I make this really nice fixture and then like totally botch making the holes accurate on the bottom of it. So it's lost totally for accuracy and repeatability. So it's got to be like an old school system. But I mean, I won't say it's better, but like, it's good that, we had a tolerance of what we were shooting to get it dialed into, and Ricky was like, I got it to like half of what we wanted it to be. And like the first parts that came off were perfect, like no adjustments needed. And I was like, all right, this works. Like, this whole thing works as we expected. So
yeah, awesome.
It's been
nice one.
Been a good feeling.
Very cool. Yeah. Okay.
Time to go.
Go do some things.
Some things now.
Yeah. Beep beep. Boom. Oh, daddy. Little off-air chat.
These like tough dudes, and they're like doing little arms swirlies.
Yeah. So good. Cool.
All right.